to this video about predicting your moves in Field of Glory 2 and also, of course, predicting your enemy moves. So if you can stay one move ahead of your enemy, obviously that's going to help you a lot. So just a few quick tips and trips. In this video, we'll start with 4 questions, then we'll show you the cavalry moves, light horse moves, warband moves, the more maneuverable infantry moves, that is a normal infantry, light infantry moves, and finally a magic trick. So the first question then is, can this unit charge? And this unit being a heavy cavalry unit, which is 2 squares away from a Romfear unit, a medium infantry unit. And the reason why we're asking this question is because normally a cavalry unit could charge an infantry unit that is 3 squares away, but this one has to go diagonally. So will it be able to do it? And what alternatives are there? So yes, we'll see. The answers are at the end of the presentation. See if you can work it out before then, because we will be providing you with answers as we go along. And next question is, again, warbands can also move 2 squares normally, but diagonally. And what if they're charging? So can this warband unit charge that heavy cavalry unit? And the next one is question 3. What will be the result if this light cavalry unit charges the light infantry unit? Because the light infantry moves 3 squares, and the light cavalry moves how many squares? Let's find out. And can this unit charge again? We have 2 instances here. Question 4A is that we've got a heavy armored horse archer unit that can charge the rear of the Romfear men, but it's in a disordering stream. So if it does that, it won't have a dramatic effect because it'll be totally disordered when it does it. So can we get it to charge from the adjacent square that is clear terrain? I don't know. The other one is that is B, shows a heavy cavalry unit that can charge the rear of an engaged Romfear unit that is will cause it quite really bad damage. Probably might even break it. Can it do that though? Because there is a Zoc projected by the unit next to the Romfear men. That's shown by the red square, red rectangle rather. Let's see. Okay, so cavalry moves. A cavalry unit can normally move 4 squares straight ahead, and it can move possibly 3 squares, sort of 2 squares to the diagonally to its left or right. In this instance, you can see the blue rectangle. If your fragmented unit was there, then it will not be able to charge that. The fragmented unit would be safe. Next to the heavy cavalry unit, there is another heavy cavalry unit, which is directly in line with that blue rectangle, and that one would be able to charge the fragmented unit. So this is very useful information to know, and very important, as I said, especially at the end of a game when you've got lots of units flying around everywhere. And in this next example, we have the cavalry facing at a 45-degree angle, and you can see this dramatically changes where it can go. It can now only go 2 squares straight ahead, but it can go 4 squares to a 45-degree angle to its right or left. So that's why in the question he cannot charge the unit that's directly to its front, because that's 3 squares directly to its front while it's facing diagonally. Here's another example. Again, you'll see in all the blue squares, if say your unit was in one of those blue squares, then this cavalry unit could not charge that unit. But they might be able to pin them or shoot at them. Light horse can move 5 squares straight ahead if they are facing straight up and down the battlefield, or 4 squares to the side, or 3 squares diagonally. And if it's already facing diagonally, it can move 5 squares at a 45-degree angle to its left or a 45-degree angle to its right, but it can only go 3 squares straight ahead. Warband, being unmaneuverable, are restricted in their moves. So generally speaking, they can just move 2 squares straight ahead. But remember that they can get a free 45-degree turn when charging. And remember the difference between a maneuverable infantry unit and a non-maneuverable infantry unit, such as warbands, is they do not get a 45-degree turn at the end of their move if they are within command reach of a general in line of command. You'll see here that if the warband is facing at a 45-degree angle, it can only move 1 square straight ahead, although they still might be able to move 2 squares if they go one to the left and then straight up. As you can see here, a normal infantry unit that is maneuverable doesn't have these restrictions, although it could still only go 1 square straight ahead if it's at a 45-degree angle. Light infantry can go 3 squares if they are facing straight up and down the battlefield. They can go 3 squares straight ahead, or 2 squares to their left or right, or 2 squares behind them, or 3 squares behind them. Of course, just because they can only move that far doesn't mean, say, if there was, say, a light infantry unit at the next to that particular square, they might be able to pin it or shoot at it. And if they're facing at a 45-degree angle, they can only go 2 squares straight ahead. But they can do the 3 squares to their left or to their right if going at a 45-degree angle. This is a nice little trick that you may like to try. So normally a unit gets a 45-degree turn at the end of its move if it is within command range of its general and it hasn't made a 45-degree turn already. So if it starts at a 45-degree angle, though, generally it is going to be making a turn right at the beginning of its move, so it will not be able to turn again. However, if you stick a unit in front of it, and make your unit walk around that other unit, it will still be able to turn again. So the procedure is, number 1, you place a unit in front of it. Number 2, you move your unit around that unit. And 3, you get to turn that unit. another 45-degree turn. This even works for a warband unit. And now the answers to the questions. So question 1, where we had a cavalry unit as depicted in the picture, the question was, could it move towards the other unit and charge it? The answer is no, because it's going in a diagonal line, and when moving diagonally, it can only move 2 squares, even though the normal move is 3. If it did hit that medium infantry unit, it would be a flank charge, but it would not cause disruption. Now, what you could do is move that cavalry unit to that square next to the Romfear men, and that would pin them and stop them from doing anything else. Question 2, where we had a warband that was 1 square away, but pointing at another unit, but diagonally. The answer is no, they would not be able to charge because it's greater than their move distance when moving diagonally. The question 3 was a light cavalry unit pointing at the rear of a light infantry unit. So the move of a light cavalry unit might be 5 squares, and it was 1 square away, so that gives it 4 squares to move, and the light infantry normally moves 3, so its evade move might be 3, and you should be able to catch it, but it's not 100% guaranteed. And then we had the two-part question, the last question, which was, the first one was the heavy cavalry was pointing at the rear of a Romfear unit, but it might be charging from a square, from a clear square, or from a stream square. And was there some way you could determine that? And apparently it will actually default to charging from the clear terrain square. So the charge will probably be quite effective. And the other question was whether a cavalry unit could charge the rear of a Romfear unit across the ZOC of its unit that's next to it, and the answer is no. If unit ZOCs prevent charges in that situation. So thanks for watching. I hope those hints are helpful to you. Certainly they'll be good for me when I'm trying to remember things like this. You know, how many squares does it move in a diagonal direction? Easy to remember straight ahead, but maybe not all the different ones when they're moving diagonally. If you'd like to learn more about light infantry or light cavalry or the Thracians, you may like to consider getting the e-copy of my book from A Pen and Sword. It's called The Gods of Battle.